Andrew Ross Sorkin, a serial scammer with the New York Times. I get that volume cut off.
Be careful.
Yep. Yeah, we got some rogue volume going on. We'll get that taken care of. But let's start by breaking down exactly what happened with this talk here. There we go. Okay, so what struck you? The first thing I'll say is through that entire 20-minute speech, not one time was Sam Bankman-Fried's name brought up.
That was the most shocking thing. I mean, for people who are not corrupt, the fact that Sam's name was not brought up, it shows you that they're trying to cover up. From the beginning, this whole thing seemed like a big cover-up scam.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we do know that Sam does a lot of cover-ups. They've covered up a lot of stuff from the very beginning. But what stuck out to you about okay, for people that didn't see it, what was the main takeaway that they should have from this?
For person who didn't see it, the main takeaway is that the government, we're not impressed that they're going to do anything. You saw the comments on the live as we were watching it, and people were distrustful of the government. They were asking who's going to jail. They felt like nothing was going to come out of it, and people felt like the government was covering up. They brought up certain things that was ridiculous. That it had nothing to do with this particular conversation. They brought up things like the entire crypto industry, is experiencing a downturn. They were saying these things as if to say that this had something to do with Sam Bankman-Fried stealing money from the company and laundering it in the Bahamas. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's not what this is about. I was speaking with somebody and they said, well, do you think they're going to go easy on him because this is crypto? And I'm like, no. This is a criminal act that Sam has done here by stealing these funds. Mm-hmm. Now let's go ahead. People want to hear this breaking news, and I think it's very important. While we have a lot of people jumping on here, that I think we start getting into what has happened. What you have documents here in the Bahamas, and I've seen them. They're physical paper documents. Some of them are digital. But what are some of the documents that you've been showing us? What do those say about the way the money was flowing here in the Bahamas?
But I just want to say for my audience, because they might understand, because we just went live, that we are broadcasting live here in the Bahamas. And we're also broadcasting on Twitter, along with my guest. I think I should introduce you now.
Sure.
And he is Ben Armstrong. And Ben Armstrong is one of the great names in crypto, and he has a huge crypto following. He teaches millions and millions of people that follow him, and it is the biggest crypto network on the internet. And he is very invested in crypto. The last time that we checked, I think that might have been before the recent downturn, but he was worth $24 million. 24 million.
Now my smile's worth $24 million.
$24 million, and so he's a professional in this area, and so we appreciate you being here and you trying to see exactly what is going on in this country.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand, like we're here fighting for the people, and that's what this is about. We're fighting not just for the people that lost money in FTX. We're not fighting just for Americans. Like, we're fighting for anyone that's been, ran over by the Sam Bankman-Fried train. And that is not just here in the Bahamas, not just in America. It's all around the world, the carnage that's been left in this guy's wake. And I think that's important that he gets held accountable. That's what we're down here for. We are down here to hold this man accountable, and we are going to go to the highest levels of the government to make sure that this happens. And I think that putting pressure on the American government seems like the route to go ultimately, but also still applying some here as well.
Yeah, so just for you who are tuned in, all of my followers, there's a whole team here. And as you can see, there's a whole team. And so we're broadcasting. Yeah. Oh, wait, guys. All right. That's it. No, wait. I'm sorry. They couldn't see you just now. I'm sorry. The technical stuff.
There we go.
Okay, now we should be on there. Okay, let's get this up there for them to see. Okay, so we have a whole team that came here and they're broadcasting and they're waving at you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so we're broadcasting to the world to make sure that the world knows exactly what is going on. And so thank you all for tuning in. And so we're going to
because there's a lot of very interesting ways to make money. But for those of us that get in this space and we stay here and we get very passionate about it, like it's our life. We live it and we breathe it. And it's about the integrity of really our system in the United States or here in the Bahamas, the way that our governments operate, the way that our financial systems are set up. And what we've learned is they're flawed and they're corrupt. And crypto and blockchain offers a different way to be able to straighten that out. It's not perfect. We see, we call it stock market 2.0 bros, kind of like, Sam Bankman-Fried that come in and they want to really take over the system of crypto and turn it into the traditional system that doesn't work already and is corrupt. So it's about us fighting against corruption, and that's why we're down here trying to call him out. But speaking of corruption, I really want to get into this real estate. Now, just so everybody knows, we went and shot a video today at One Cable Beach. Is that the name of the road? One Cable Beach. This is a building, and the builder who built the building came out and said, well, the rumor is they own a building here, but he said they only rented one unit. Well, you actually showed me a document that says they have a $2 million unit there.
Yes.
And that's not all. Give us some of the numbers of some of the other real estate that you have showing what the FTX conglomerate owns, and then we're going to break down these individual companies and how they were stealing your money. And
so, listen, FTX owns. We're now hearing that it's about $300 million worth of assets.
300 million.
Yes, and we have documents for just over 100 and almost 140 million dollars worth of documents that we have that I've shown you,
which is more than the reported amount. The reported amount that we've all been seeing is 121 million. I saw with my own eyes it was about 136 million at least. What would it?
Yeah, it's 138 plus million that we actually have. And so this is mind blowing, because what really happened is, and it's clear to everybody, he knew that the bottom was going to drop out on his company. He knew that. And so what he did was he left Hong Kong, where there's going to be serious repercussions and you could get some serious jail time, etc. He left Hong Kong and came to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we already tried to go to Barbados first. Barbados rejected him, and then he came to the Bahamas. Right. So when he came to the Bahamas, I was very suspect of the fact that he came to the Bahamas, but he did. And he came here, and we had I think that the DARE Act has no teeth. And I want to show you that before I go into the actual property documents, because the property documents, the issue with that is they're not in FTX Digital Markets name.
Yes, that's the whole key here. That's the key. That's key.
They are in the name of FTX Property Holdings Limited. And this is the scary part, because you can get rid of his company, you can bankrupt his company, but that company isn't even named in the bankruptcy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you guys are going to see that they're hiding money through real estate that's your money.
Yes. God. And so they're hiding that money in another company that's not named in the bankruptcy. So what are you going to do?
You can't do anything with that.
How are you going to get that? And it's in another country, the Bahamas. So there's two quick videos I want you to watch. And this is this lady is Christina Roll, and she is the executive director of the Securities Commission. All right, she's executive director of the Securities Commission. Yeah, they're going to see it up there.
Okay, perfect.
And she admitted, she was asked a question when she held a conference recently. I don't know if you heard about that conference. It was in September, and at that conference, she said that Sorry, turn it on too early. She said that there was no minimum requirement to enter to be a foreign exchange in the Bahamas. Okay.
Okay. This is why this is important, guys. Okay. Let's take the BIT license in New York City, for instance. Okay, the BIT license in New York City, you had to pay about $100,000 in consulting fees just to be able to get approved. But then you had to have probably an additional $500,000 at least to $1 million at least in liquid assets to be able to get that BIT license. Okay. Now, we're talking about an exchange opening up on a countrywide level. Here's why this is important. They didn't actually have all the money that they said that they had. So if they had to come in here and put up a minimum requirement of $100 million or whatever the case may be, they didn't actually have it. So the government, the Securities Commission, looked the other way and allowed them to come in here basically by writing an IOU. Like, hey guys, we got some money, let us in the country without actually ever having to show it.
Yep. And so I'm going to let you hear this from the Securities Commission themselves. And here it is.
The question is, what are your minimum requirements to be a digital exchange?
Of course, an exchange that is listing assets is expected to do some due diligence on those assets that they are listing. But in terms of outside of due diligence, the Commission does not prescribe any minimum requirements for the exchange.
Yeah, so these questions, they get to the nitty.
There's not any minimum requirement for the exchange.
Yeah.
And so...
which is very unusual, correct?
In any business.
Yeah.
If you want to get a government contract, there's a minimum,
right.
In other words, there's no minimum requirements, which means that you can just come in and there's no rules to you coming in.
Right.
The minimum requirement for being a building contractor might be that you have to have a bachelor's degree. Yes. All right. For you to be a doctor, the minimum requirement could be for you to have a doctorate degree in medicine. And so there's no minimum requirements at all. So that's the first thing. Next, they asked her about minimum capital requirements, which is what you're talking about now. And the capital requirement would mean that you have to have a certain amount of money in order to get in. What is the minimum capital requirement? And this was the first question that they asked us. We're going to try to turn the volume up as much as possible.
Okay, yeah.
To make sure that you.
We're going to try for you guys to hear it on Twitter Spaces. I know it's difficult though, so stick with us.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Now for our first question, Mr. Earl, earlier you mentioned the magic word capital adequacy that certain players need to display. Would you be able to share more information about what the parameters are here?
So I think so one of the things that we recognize about this space is that a lot of the actors look different. So as opposed to in the securities space where one securities firm is very much similar to another, we see in this space that a lot of the firms, their business activity is different from each other. So we thought that at this point, it would probably be premature to prescribe regulatory capital in the way that we do in other arenas. And so the way we address regulatory requirements at this time, as opposed to prescribing them, is that we ask that they be addressed in the governance framework of the organization. That is, the directors periodically review the regulatory capital needs of the organization based on the risk, based on the size of the organization, based on the complexity of the business activity. Certainly, once the commission goes to examine an organization, the commission would review this process, review what has been applied, and we may make a determination that the organization really thought through the process in a very robust way that the commission would expect, or we might say that they may not. But at the moment, we leave it within the framework of corporate governance. I anticipate, though, that we will address this issue probably in a more prescriptive way, maybe even as early as next year.
Thank you, Phil.
Wow.
Now for our first question.
In other words, there was no minimum capital because she said there are different companies that operate differently. So she was leaving it up to them and their own corporate governance to determine what they do. It's up to their own directors to determine. And this is what allowed this to happen.
Yep. Yeah.
This allowed him to come to the Bahamas.
When other places in the Caribbean were saying no.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bahamas said, hey, you just come here, we'll do whatever you want to do.
Bitcoin's just dumping.
What's Bitcoin at?
Right above 16.
No, hey, AJ, when Bitcoin dumps like a couple $100, it's not news. I'm sorry.
No, it's your chat. It's all the people on YouTube.
It's all the chat. They all want to know that Bitcoin's dropping. Well, guys, I guess I'm Satan. I have caused Bitcoin to go to zero today, and I'm really sorry. But guys, we got to give you the truth, okay? So I want to, because to catch people up who have not seen to the entire thing, we love AJ, by the way. AJ's great. He played Sam Bankman-Fried earlier today on a Twitter picture and on a video. He did a great job with that. But the fact is, The customer funds that were siphoned out of the exchange that created the insolvency, these went to all of these different companies that they had set up in terms of real estate to hide the money. You really have to understand, they went into your account. Let's say you had $500,000 in that account. They went into your account, kept the numbers on the website the same, removed those funds, and bought real estate in the Bahamas under different companies so you can never touch your money again. And this guy is walking around eating vegan food like he's got no problems, okay? Nobody had gotten into the Albany yet. But I can tell you that we are going to be moving towards, I think we're going to try to arrange a big event here in the Bahamas, maybe in the next coming weeks, to keep people down here in protest, because that something has got to be, I say everybody goes to the Albany and protests. That's what I say. You want to get these people out of there, we got to put government pressure, we got to put residential pressure on these people. We all go to the Albany, we all go to the gate, we all walk through, we make them all remove us. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show you this. You were talking about, and you heard the Attorney General now say, because the Prime Minister also said it last week, they said that there was one company of FTX regulated in the Bahamas. And so it may be true that one is regulated, but that's not the issue. More than one company exists in the Bahamas, and they are operating in the Bahamas. And so here are the list of companies, right, under FTX.
Right.
And so
this is not counting Sam's personal company that he has his $30 million place in, or his parents' home as well, that's also in their name.
No, it's not counting that.
Right.
So here are some of the companies. So here you have FTX, and this is from the government's website, where you can search and find
anybody can see it. Yep.
All right. And so it's FTX Property Holdings Limited. That's the one we're talking about, where the properties are. There's FTX Markets Limited, and then FTX Bahamas Ventures Limited, and then there's FTX Digital Markets Bahamas Limited, another company. So this is in the Property Holdings Limited, okay? And so these are now 4 companies that are here registered in the Bahamas, and one of them we know for sure is hiding property. And if we go through all of them, also you heard him say that Alameda was not in the Bahamas.
Right. Yep.
You heard the Attorney General say that. That's what I have a problem with, because
it's a lie.
Yeah, because they have an Alameda company here, and this is one that was formed on October 19, 2022.
Wow. Right before everything went down. Guys, open your eyes. Open your eyes. It's unbelievable.
So Alameda Property Holdings Bahamas Limited was formed. All right? About 2 weeks, right?
You would think they would have done it like a little better, like called it like, I don't know, like Dirty Vegan Bad Haircut Holdings or something, you know, like instead of literally naming it after their name of their venture capital scam. It's unbelievable.
And so
they're not very good at this shell company game, if y'all haven't figured it out.
And so that's one of them. And so we have the owners, and it's owned by Orion Limited and EOS Limited. That's the shareholders of that company. So they're hiding it in company. Figure out who owns these companies. And so it was owned by, of course, Orion Limited and Clement T. Maynard. All right. The Maynard family is a politically connected family, connected to this governing party. Okay. And so if Bahamians hear this, they would know that, hold on, this is connected to the PLP government. Yeah. The same government that it seems to be covering up everything.
Now PLP, is that a political party here?
Yes.
What does that stand for?
The Progressive Liberal Party.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so
and how many parties are here in the Bahamas?
Last election we had quite a few running them. The main parties right now are the Progressive Parties, the Free National Movement, and the Coalition of Independence.
Now you could potentially run for prime minister at some way, right?
I ran in the last election. I ran for prime minister.
What party are you in?
The Coalition of Independence.
Okay, just for clarity. Okay.
And next election, I will be running for prime minister. I'm really running for president. Yeah, because we're going to.
Because when the political party changes, it changes the structure kind of.
We are going to change the structure.
I like it. Okay, let's do it.
And so another.
I am now announcing I'm running for prime minister of the Bahamas.
No,
against Lincoln. Okay, I'm running against Lincoln.
You're going to need more than $24 million for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alameda Research Limited.
There it is.
Okay. And so it's company number 27778.
Yeah, there it is.
All right.
And if people are watching we're on YouTube Live on my channel as well. You guys can see all the information right behind us.
All right. And so all of this is right here for the world to see if they want to see it. And so we have a lot of information, a lot of documents. And so clearly there are some serious issues with all of this that's going on. And so I wanted to pull up let me see if I can pull up the property information for you. There's so much documents here.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Jesus, it's crazy.
When we say we got evidence of stuff, guys, like it's not just talk, man. There's so much of this. This is not a mistake, guys. When you look at the methodical way that they move this money around, this was not a mistake, and people have got to wake up from that.
Yeah. And so I'm going to pull up the properties right now so the person can see it, so they can see it behind us. Just give me 1 sec as I do this.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are all of the properties. They said that there's $300 million worth of properties, but we have $138 million worth of properties.
$138.484 million in properties. That's your stolen funds, guys.
And so we have the property that was sold to Sam Bankman-Fried, and you can see all of the dates.
And we have all the addresses too.
One Cable Beach. All right.
That's where we were today. One Cable Beach, $2 million.
And we have another one from One Cable Beach.
Yep.
Another one was sold to Ryan Salome.
Yep.
Unit 3A. We also have, I think, Unit 3B that was sold
right
to him.
Yep.
All right. Yes.
Those about 15 million combined.
Yeah. And so you can see some it's going in his name, and look at all of this. FTX Property Holdings Limited.
Yeah.
And so the problem with this is that you don't see FTX Digital Markets here. Right. That's a company that they say
none of the real estate is included in this bankruptcy. They all have this free and clear spent with your money. So I don't know, Richard. I see you in here. We're going to bring on speakers in a little bit if you're still in here, man. I know Richard Hart always has a lot of stuff to say.
All right, and so you see one of these properties is Alan Bankman and Barbara Fried.
Barbara Fried. Now, Alan Bankman, who I thought it's Joe Bankman is his dad, right?
Joe Bankman.
So who is Alan Bankman?
I don't know why they put Alan
Allan Bankman. Look that up, AJ, over there while we're at it.
Right, and Barbara Fried, 16.4 million.
And that is in another gated community similar to the Albany, right? Old Fort Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so all of these other properties, another one on Cable Beach, Marina, all of these properties.
Wow.
You see? And we actually have more because we have some that's not included in this document.
We got more.
That I actually physically have.
Yeah. Counting the documents you have here that are on the digital on the website, how much is more is in here, you think?
We got quite a bit, and they're coming in every day.
Every day, there's more.
Yeah, because these won't be registered right away. So as they come in, then we find more of them. So this is another one, Ryan Salome.
Now, who is Ryan Salome? This is a guy that's been getting passed to me a lot today. Mm-hmm. I tried getting in touch with him, and I couldn't. He's a hard guy to find a contact for, but who is Ryan Salome?
He is apparently the president down here running things down here.
Okay. Of Alameda?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. He's running things with Sam Bankman-Fried. He's a close friend of Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh, shocker.
All right. And so this is, more documents.
Yeah.
And so these are the actual conveyances of the property.
Now, when you're exposing all these people, are you afraid that nerds are going to come try to beat you up?
Nerds? I've never been afraid of nerds.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Never. I like this guy. I voted for him for president when I buy my $500,000 property and become a resident. Can I vote if I'm a resident?
No, you gotta be a citizen.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we'll give you some pub.
You gotta be a citizen.
Okay.
Because we're gonna have a new Bahamas.
I like a new Bahamas. We're getting a new Bahamas here.
New Bahamas with no more corruption.
Love it.
Where foreigners, American companies can come to this country and no one is gonna beg them for under the table money. You can just come here and do your business if you want to do business. You can partner with Bahamians, but we are going to benefit from our natural resources, and we're going to be the Dubai of this side of the world.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
The Dubai of this side of the world. Yeah. That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
So okay, well, can we open it up for some questions now? We got a few people that want to ask some questions and go from there?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Anybody who's in the space that I may speaker, if you want to come out and got a feeling I know who will be first. Oh, here he goes. Yeah,
who's fighting to extradite them to places where it might be meaner to them?
That's a great question. So from what we're looking at here is that the U.S. has not tried to extradite him yet. In the Bahamas, are you saying something, Ryan? Ryan, what are you saying? The lawsuit. Okay, out there. So what we're doing right now is we've been told the Bahamian government, even if they do end up arresting Sam, it's not going to be terrible for him. He's going to be able to pay a $100,000 to $300,000 fine probably and get out of stuff. Of course, I think Sam had the Tornado Cash guy over in Sweden or the Netherlands, where it was. I think he had him arrested. He has to rot in jail while he waits his trial. But the government here in the Bahamas said, oh, we're not really arresting anybody right now. We're letting it all play out. It'd be nice if somebody would arrest him here. We think he's got a good chance of escaping in the harbor with his yacht he has outside. That's definitely something to be concerned about. The United States has to come extradite him. If the United States does not extradite him and take him back to the United States and punish him, I don't know anywhere else that's going to be able to do it. So kind of what we're looking at here is here's the plan. So everybody kind of understands my playbook at this point, because I don't know if y'all know, this isn't done after I come home, okay? We're going to come back to the Bahamas, and we're going to lead a protest at the Albany. We're going to put pressure on the government to arrest this guy. After he is arrested here, we want to get him removed from the Albany. We want the Albany to be forced to remove him because there's so much pressure and the residents are losing their brains. I actually have access to know they had an HOA meeting last night at the Albany after we were there, and they decided they were not going to kick him out still. There are a lot of residents there that are pissed. They don't want him there. It's unwanted attention. They certainly didn't want us there yesterday. But we've got to get him out of the Albany so he has nowhere to go. Then the government can either arrest him or either the United States can come extradite him. But once we move towards that, then we move towards really pushing against the American government to come get him. I mean, I think, Lincoln, you would agree. You think that's a pretty good plan there?
Yeah, I think it is a good plan. We need to bring international pressure onto this. We are shocked that the Commissioner of Police has not questioned him yet and has not basically done anything. They're just saying, oh, we're investigating, etc. But how do you investigate if you haven't even talked to the person? You haven't checked to see if they're still in the country.
Right.
All right. Let's say you have a murder and you believe the person is living in, the murderer is living in that condo. You didn't even go to check.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't go to check to see if he's there.
We're the only people.
Or the question would say, where were you on this date and time?
Yeah.
And so it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so we are very concerned.
I think you guys are skipping a part here. I like what you're doing. I think it's great.
Thank you.
I think the way law enforcement works is their whole job is to get you locked up. Their secondary job is to maybe get you some money back, but it almost never happens. But they basically spend their time working on getting you locked up. And the way they do that is with evidence and testimony and documents. And
right.
And so, when you read indictments and you see the government doing good work shutting down evil dudes, usually what they do is they get a sealed indictment. They kick everyone's doors down at the same time so that they can't hide and destroy evidence. They don't tell you ahead of time, which is why the indictment's secret. And then, they see how much evidence they can grab so that if you're going to plea, you're going to get a worse deal plea because they got more evidence against you. Or you're going to get a trial. Hopefully, if you're a bad guy, you lose your trial. Such a strong case. But having custody of the person doesn't actually give you evidence. Right. And getting an arrest warrant doesn't get you evidence. And getting an extradition doesn't get you evidence. And so if you really want to see this guy do time or found guilty of his crimes, it's really all about the evidence. And that comes in written form, and it comes in testimonial form, or it comes in the form of confession.
Right.
And that's about it. So I would be personally in justice. It's really all about the evidence.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of evidence from many different sources. I know Lincoln here as well has a lot of evidence. I think something that people really need to understand as well is who are we giving evidence to? We have evidence. People are sitting on evidence. Why? Are we going to give it to Gary Gensler? Is that who we're going to give it to? Or are we going to go give it to, are we going to go give it to Kevin McCarthy? Is that who we're going to give it to? Who do we give the evidence to that's not involved in this? And I think that's the really interesting part here. We need to have, whether it's the Department of Justice or whether it is a politician, We need someone to rise up and be the galvanizer and the leader from the actual, from the actual government itself to be able to start tying this thing together. Because I can only do so much. I can't arrest him. I don't want to get arrested myself for detaining him. I'm not a bounty hunter, despite what the memes show on Twitter these days. So I think that's what you're saying is really good, Richard. I think it's true.
Yeah, you'd hate for him to beat what I'm saying is, like, when you force him out of his house, he's probably got a lot of evidence sitting there. And if you force him to flee early, that could have been something where a nice kick the door down, raid would have gotten something. But look, I don't know how it works in the third world, bro. Like, I don't really know whether they actually kick down doors and get evidence. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
And what's disappointing to a lot of us here in the Bahamas, a lot of us who are not corrupt, is that the government is now painting this narrative that we have to cover this whole thing up, that we shouldn't say anything about it because it's going to hurt the Bahamas. And you heard the Attorney General, say basically the same thing today, that us, and now he added that even the international media, should watch what they say about what's going on. And it reminds me, and I said it in our interview earlier, it reminds me of, when the Catholic Church, when Christ were being raped and molested by priests in the Catholic Church, and they were saying, cover it up, don't say anything because it's going to make God look bad, it's going to make the church look bad, and we should just cover it up, don't say anything about the pastor. And that's what they're doing now. They're trying to make it seem like it will be better for the Bahamas if we just side with any corruption that may have gone on and just cover this whole thing up. But I actually think that's going to make us look worse if we do that, because then it's going to look like all of our people are complicit and that we are corrupt as a people and that we shouldn't be trusted. I think it would be better if we investigate this thoroughly, and then investors like yourself, you would know in the future that, if something bad happens in the Bahamas, it's going to be dealt with.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a banana republic.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a big game for you.
Okay.
Here's what governments care about a lot of times, particularly smaller ones: money.
Mm.
You know who I think has the most money in the Bahamas? Deltec Bank.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I don't know if anybody watched my video today. We actually went to Deltec Bank today. Obviously, it's a Sunday, so we went to the first building, and it's completely empty, nobody there. But we talked to security there, and then there's a sign on the front that says they're being refurbished. And so we went to the actual Deltec building and talked to a security guard there, which is a 5-story building, and Deltec is on the 5th floor on the right when you get up out of the elevator. And we talked to security there, and they said they will be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we are actually going to be going to Deltec Bank tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and trying to get answers from them as well.
And I'll add to this a disclosure, because you just watched the press statement by the Attorney General. Mm. He used to work for Deltec Bank.
No way. Get out of here.
He was in the previous government, and he just quit in the middle of the term, and he left, went to work for Deltec Bank.
That's what they were saying in the comments when they said he left us high and dry.
That's what they were talking about. Oh, you were reading the comments.
I was reading the comments, yeah.
And so he left.
I'm not trying to throw shade on Deltec. I'm just saying that, so we know FTX did about as bad as an entity can do.
Correct.
They just basically jacked everybody's money. I haven't heard claims of Deltec doing that. So what I'm saying is, if Deltec's profitable and they have political influence there, it's in their best interest to lean on their political context to clean up house.
Yes.
So it doesn't mess up their deal, because they have obviously got some kind of cool deal going. So I think you might be able to get more justice from Deltec's contacts than from law enforcement.
Well, I think that's good. And real quickly, for you to say something here was our narrative going to Deltec today. Our narrative today, especially when we showed up and the building was empty, which we'll be telling you a little bit more when we get to the United States about some of the stuff that we found there. But what I will tell you is that we were going with a narrative of wanting to be proven wrong. We wanted to go there and find out it's actually a bustling bank and that it looks good and there's no, people need to be worried, because everybody who's out here talking about that Deltec is insolvent or that Tether is going to collapse, none of those people are boots on the ground going and looking, okay? So when we went to the building and found out it was being refurbished, we felt better, like, okay, well, this is completely empty. Nobody's been here in a while, but we'll go to the other building. So we went to the other building, and we talked to the security guard, and they said, yeah, they got like 10 people there every day. So we're hoping tomorrow morning we're going to go there. They're going to talk to us. They're going to be transparent. We can bring up some of this stuff as well. and we can talk with them and let them maybe try to explain their part and how they can help clean up. Everybody knows, well, not everybody, but Alameda was the number one holder of Tether. I think they had like 10% of the supply or something like that. They were the number one holder there. So there's a reason why they want to. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah. So there's a reason why we want to go in there and talk to them. I think this is a good angle as well. So let you go ahead, Lincoln.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on something. I think that we have to put pressure on this. We have to make sure that the investigation does not take place here in the Bahamas. The persons who are on the board of the Securities Commission are political appointees. And so if there is, I'm not saying there is, but if there is some, political, dirty hands in there, these appointees won't be able to go against the government that appointed them. And so this is a problem. And so they have new appointees that just, were put on board. I prefer for this to be investigated properly. Outside this country, our government is corrupt. They are corrupt terribly. My organization, we recently had a protest. I said the wrong thing. We didn't have a protest. We went to deliver some bills to the House of Assembly.
Yeah.
The government didn't want these bills delivered, and so they just, a police officer just attacked me.
Wow.
And next thing, I was arrested after being attacked. And so I can't talk about it because it turned into a case. But everyone looked at that and they were like, why wouldn't the government, why would the government in a democratic society do something like this?
Yeah.
What more democratic process do you have than to go to the House of Assembly to deliver a bill?
Right.
And so this is the kind of government that is now running, a government that wants to silence its people. They have bought out the media. They've given media owners positions as ambassadors to silence them. They have bought out reporters, given them jobs. And so, as you can see, no one is really putting pressure to them. No one is properly investigating this.
Well, we do have, what's interesting, we do have, and I meant to say this earlier, actually, we just had a meeting a little bit ago with a guy from the Netherlands who lives here and is a resident here now. They're about to file a gigantic criminal and civil lawsuit against SBF personally, to not just going through the corporate route. So there are people that are fighting here against this. That's going to be filed on Wednesday. That's a breaking announcement, by the way. We haven't disclosed that. We do have a video with them. I think we're going to put out at 9 a.m. in the morning if you guys want to check that out. But you want to talk about government corruption? The stuff he was telling us about what they're doing on the back end, absolutely terrifying. So.
I mean, remember, it's not just SBF that does this. You had a lot of co-conspirators. They had a lot of time to do this. They built this up over years. Even when Enron failed, there's a story about this one guy that got out a little bit early, and he just got to keep all the money. Yeah. So is that what happens with Trabuco? Like, Trabuco got out a little bit early, so he gets to keep all the money?
I don't know. Maybe somebody can go to rural Maine and find him. I mean, they didn't think I was going to come down to the Bahamas and find SBF, so maybe Sam T's got something coming for him, too.
And what's so crazy about one guy getting out early? I mean, he got away. He was innocent apparently. But now Jeff Schilling is now back out. He did his time, 12 years, and he's out. And that same one guy that got away is now trying to help Jeff Schilling get back into the same business.
Wow.
And
you can't have a better last name than Schilling.
I know, right? And so if FTX gets away with this, one, our reputation is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that Bahamians are not corrupt.
Yeah.
And we want what's best. Our politicians have been corrupt.
Yeah.
But they've kept us under certain handcuffs. And so
I got bad news for you guys. He's probably going to get away with this. Like, this is what it sounds like to me, dude. Like, the only way he's not going to get away with this is if someone hits him with, like, a really strong attack from a really harsh jurisdiction in the States. Like, I know someone... Maybe New York's a good jurisdiction to do it.
Well, Texas, Texas is coming after them for security stuff, I believe, if I remember correctly. Texas would be definitely a place.
Definitely, I don't think securities is the right angle.
I do agree.
Right?
Yeah,
because securities is not criminal. Right. Guys, you cannot go to jail for securities.
Well, there is some crossover with the DOJ if you look at what happened with Nate Chastain.
To the DOJ, so
right.
It's all about the DOJ. Like, if you want to put people in actual prison and deprive them of their freedom, it has to be a Department of Justice matter. And so, look, they got what was his name, McAfee, to kill himself.
Yeah,
they got enough extradition, got pressure on him,
yeah,
but he ended up dead.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I think the right way to attack these criminals is with extradition,
Yeah.
and you're only going to get that in a non-civil manner. It's going to have to be a criminal complaint, and then I think the right angle is fraud.
Yeah.
Because fraud's illegal, and it doesn't have to do with securities at all. You know, this guy made a bunch of public statements on Twitter that he surreptitiously deleted by posting one thing, deleting a thing, posting a thing, deleting a thing, and so his typing happening out was just stealthing his deleted posts.
Yep.
So when he, like his post where he said everything's okay, he deleted that. But then it doesn't show up in like the deletion detectors because he deleted it in short enough time when he posted a new thing that the detectors just look at like raw post count instead of post ID. So like there's a lot of evidence of this guy saying one thing, doing another thing, a lot of people in the United States being harmed over it. You know, it seems to me to be, no, look, I'm not a lawyer, but...
you could be Richard. Richard, you could be anything you wanted to be.
Thanks, bro, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, can I hop on something that Richard just said?
Yeah. Say it again?
Just real quick.
Okay.
No, so just real quick, what Richard said, I think he's on point. So over a decade in DOJ, you need to find DOJ to put their teeth in this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently, there's no motion to extradite, but you need one. DOJ is going to have a stronger reach and tentacles with the marshals and all that, as opposed to a state. Now, why is DOJ a better opportunity for us? Because of wire fraud. You're going to have wire fraud, which is going to be interstate commerce. We're going to have that from DOJ. The problem is when you look at the funds that I've looked at all week, when you look at the money from, you know, I don't want to go off on this tangent, but when you look at third world, you know, third parties, other countries funneling back to FTX being a major donor, what are the odds that Merrick Garland, a department I used to work for, what are the odds Merrick Garland is going to tee off and really have DOJ go after their second largest donor after George Soros?
Well, I would tell you this.
Because they know he's not getting no more money to him.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll sneak him instantly.
They're going to have to. He's toxic now. And I think what people have to understand.
He's not going to come back.
What's that?
He's toxic, but he's not going to come back. So I think if he makes it off, whether he stays down there, I've been listening to you and watching your video today. It seems like the Bahamian government's not going to do anything. So if he's off to Dubai, then it's hands off.
No, that's not actually true now. Just so everybody understands, with the extradition laws, I've been speaking with people in Dubai today. That is not true. If he gets over to Dubai, it is not a guarantee he stays there. Let me see if real quick I can pull up this text message this guy sent me earlier today about this and see exactly. Give me 1 second. And I do want to say also, like, I know we were talking about the Bahamian government and how there certainly is, you know, some stuff that's going on here that's not good with some of the corrupt players in the game. The fact is, the reason why I'm here with Lincoln right now, and the reason why I was able to get into the Albany, the reason why we were able to get access to figure out what was going on through security at some of these places is because we've seen the honest and hardworking and good people in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Every person we've met has been great, from the cab drivers to the dealers at the casino to the security, even our guy Brian that kicked us out of the Albany. He was a good guy. He was just trying to do his job. Like, his job is to not allow people disrupt there. And every person we've met here has been really great, and they've been really concerned. I did want to say that. Let me see if I can find. If y'all want to keep talking, I'm gonna have to dig through and see if I can find this, and I'll talk to you guys about the Dubai extradition.
Yeah, in order to be extradited from Dubai, they're gonna have to have the same law in Dubai as they have for him to be extradited.
Got it.
You have to determine where he committed the crime. There's definitely no extradition treaty between them and us. And if they don't have their act where he committed a crime, then you're going to have a problem.
Got it.
But you have to have the same parallel crime in both countries, not just a treaty. All right, so that's where the problem.
Well, I tell you, I just got a message from somebody that lives in Dubai that's been involved or that has residence there, and he just told me just now. He said Sam has caused major damage to over-the-counter companies in Dubai, and they will not harbor him. And in addition, FTX and Alameda were doing the same thing in Dubai with customer funds that they were doing here, funneling money through real estate. So Very, very interesting news
actually,
there.
in Dubai, there's debtor's prison. So if
Right,
you
there,
owe
it's
people
correct.
money there,
Oh, that
you
is
go
true.
to jail
Yeah.
and stay in jail. So there's a chance SBF owes too much money to people over there, and they might lock them up harder. It's possible.
Yeah. Now Hong Kong, I don't know. Maybe Hong Kong seems to be a safe haven for him as well. That's where I would probably expect for him to potentially go.
Can I make a quick announcement?
Yeah.
If
Quick
anyone's
announcement.
watching on YouTube, they can also get better audio by listening to Twitter at the same
Yeah.
time.
So if you're watching on YouTube, the audio isn't great because we're a little further away from the camera or from the phone. So if you guys want to come over to Twitter Spaces and listen to the audio there, it's kind of like when I'm watching a baseball game. I always make sure I turn on the radio for our Atlanta local guys because the national guys always suck. Everybody knows that, they like sports ball. So there we go. I can't find this right now. I'll have to look for it later. But if anybody else in the Twitter space have any questions, we got a few people that are speakers in here that wanted to talk, and we can add some more down the road here.
So everybody wants to know when FTX or what's going on with FTX, but no one's asking how's Ben doing. How are you doing out there?
Well, I'm doing good, guys. I know a lot of people are concerned about my safety, and a lot of people are, they're saying we're pushing too far. And guys, it's not like that here. Just so you know, and I talked to Lincoln a little bit about it. Guys, they're very sensitive to international media over here, and that's what we are at this point. People think, oh, you're a YouTuber. We got about 5 million people that follow us all together. Before they took our TikTok account, it was even more than that, like 7 million. And the fact is, like, they don't want an international story about something that happens to a YouTuber who's down here in the Bahamas. So there's certainly been a death threat that we've been given from someone, but we can't really. It's a long story. We won't want to get too much into it because it puts one of our sources in jeopardy. But we have gotten some death threats. But guys, I'm not scared. This is a God-given mission we're on down here. I don't know if people have picked up on this. This does not end when the video turns off. We've been down here investigating all weekend long. We're going to do more. Like, we are not. I need everybody to understand me and understand me clearly. I will not stop until this man is in custody. Period. If I got to go the rest of my life with Sam Bankman-Fried being my arch nemesis until this guy is in prison and irrelevant, then that's what I'm going to do.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We've had discussions in the past that at one point I wasn't a fan of yours, but seeing everything you've gone through recently and everything you're doing for the space,
thank you.
Really appreciate that, and it's changed a lot. And I think the same can be said for a lot of other people. So thank you again.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the support.
I think another thing to think about is, as fun as it is to do like justice porn, all you guys that are wrecked, you're going to stay wrecked, and so you really need to like peel out some time and think about how you're going to play the bull market when it comes, and it will come. So as soon as Fed pivots, maybe within a month or 3 months, it could be the end of the bear, man. You don't know. Like, we get a wick down to these targets, 10K BTC, $300, $600 Ethereum, and like, yo, man, pretty good entry, Well, look, I got a coin too. You guys probably know my coin.
Go on, Richard. You can't go out here selling your coin. It's okay. We love you, Richard. I love Richard. He did it.
I'm just saying we could get people rich, but just getting this dude in jail is not actually it's not gonna pay us that much.
Well, there is certainly a. This is kind of the way I look at it. I look at it like what we're doing is we're weeding bad actors out of the space, and when we constantly go through these Bitcoin cycles, I mean, people laughed at me, and they also laughed at Richard when we said Bitcoin was going in between 10 and 14K. Now, Richard said it was going down a little bit before I did. I'll give him credit, okay? But the fact is, he's been talking about 11K. I've been talking about 10 to 14K. I think there's a chance the bottom could be in now. I've said there's a 50-50 is what I believe, depending on what happens with some of the Genesis markets and stuff like that. But the fact is, what people have to understand is where this really pays off, weeding these bad actors out of the space, is every cycle we go 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. If we can just move to a place where we're moving 3 steps forward and 1 step back instead of having to basically burn crypto down from the inside every time we have a bull market, then I think overall, everyone that believes in the long term of this will be much better off. So, I do think thinking about where you're going to position yourself in crypto, because just like Lincoln said, this is about FTX. This is about criminals.
It's funny. It's like Gemini is New York licensed, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, we're all as up above board as we can. And they get all their users wrecked with this lending crap that I've been warning about for years.
You have been.
So they were using, Gemini was using Genesis as their back end, and Genesis gets bankrupted.
Yeah.
Or so you're like, okay. So you're NY, DFS licensed, and you still got your users wrecked. So I guess you didn't think that through.
Yeah. Well, let me say something on that. If you think about the first thing that they said, that the Bahamian Attorney General, the first thing he said was that they froze the money for the companies right away. For the companies, keyword is companies. They didn't freeze the money for the people. The people are completely fucked.
Absolutely.
Same thing with the Genesis thing. It's like, dude, we learned from Web 2 and all the other bullshit we've dealt with, all the time, all this fraud and all this corruptness. And Web 3 is supposed to be different. We're supposed to build it right. And we have another chance to do it. So we can't let it be corrupt like it was before. There should be a crypto FDIC by the people, though, so everybody's money is secured and protected. But when some shit happens, it collapses, everybody's safe. And instead of having to deal with, oh shit, there goes Luna. Oh shit, there goes, AC3 and all these people. And here they are. And the thing is, Big Boys, like, we appreciate it. Dude. You're a legend. You went out there. You actually pulled up on these people. I think some of my homeboys from the gangs in LA wouldn't even have pulled up like you did. And honestly, man, I wish I was there with you. I fit in small luggage, so next time you go out there, I'll be out there with you.
Well, bro, the thing about it is everybody's here with us. Like whether or not you can actually come down to the Bahamas and make a difference, the fact that y'all are listening and y'all are following the story and y'all are watching it, like this is a crypto mission. This is not a BitBoy mission. I'm down here for y'all. Like I'm here for the people. I didn't even, somebody put out, BitBoy got paid $1 billion from Alameda. I ain't never talked to them people in my life, okay? Sam won't even talk to me now. I've been sending him a text. He won't even respond. The fact is, I didn't lose $1 on FTX. Not $1. But this man has so royally screwed the vision of what crypto is supposed to be. If we don't make a freaking stand, it's going to happen again. And we're not going to let that happen. And this is all of us together. I just happen to be one of the best looking people in crypto, and that's why I was able to come down here and do this.
And I just want to say this while you're talking about that, is that you don't want this to happen again in crypto. Sorry, you don't want this to happen again in crypto, and we don't want this to happen again in our country.
Absolutely.
Every time this government comes to power, we get embarrassed internationally, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And now it's really bad. But I want to say to all of the people, all of my viewers, that don't give up on crypto, because FTX is not crypto.
Yep.
FTX is not crypto. FTX is an exchange. So it's like, to give an example, it's like Bank of America shuts down for some reason. It doesn't mean that money is all of a sudden bad or that the banking industry is bad. It's just one player in the game that went down. So crypto is not FTX. They could have sold whatever they wanted on their platform. And I also want you to know that if you understand trading, there's support and resistance. Support means the lowest the market will go, and resistance means the highest before it gets pushed back down. The deeper it goes, the higher it bounces back up.
Yep.
All right? And that's how the markets work. The deeper it goes, so if as low as it goes right now, it's going to bounce back up. You remember when crypto was down to 3,000?
Oh, I remember. I was there.
That's when I got in.
And
it went down it went there from about 19,000. And so it went down to 3,000 and it bounced up to 60,000. All right. And so there's nothing to worry about. Crypto is going to work itself out, and no one and nothing can stop crypto.
Love it.
So
if you buy all the vegetables on the island, he will come to you.
That is a great idea.
Situation for him.
Let's buy all the vegetables. This man will have no choice. Do y'all have tofu and soy here?
Of course we do.
Well, dang right. Somebody, let's start a GoFundMe for buying all the tofu and soy, and let's make it so Sam can't eat.
Starve them out.
You guys were going through in the beginning, like all the different properties that they either purchased through shell corps or whatever. Is there any estimate on like the total value of those assets, and or like any assets that like they know that these guys tweaked out that are sitting in crypto?
Well, they're getting new information every day. Right now, the number we have compiled is $138.484 million. So almost about 138.5 million. But there's more coming in every day, and we're finding more and more of these companies.
This
doesn't even have Alameda Holdings on it.
No,
this doesn't even have the Alameda Holdings. It is probably closer to $500 million at least, I would say.
Right. So we're told it's about 300 million. It may end up being about $500 million. But right now we have actual documents in our hand for about $140 million worth.
Now, and also keep in mind what I was just told on a text message here a little bit ago from someone who a lot of this information came from and evidence came from, which is they've done the same thing in Dubai. So this is just properties that have registered only here in the Bahamas. Grasp that. There's a chance this overall number could be closer to $1 billion around the world.
It could.
It could.
And so for my audience, if you're watching, you want to chime in, you want to ask a question, the number is on the screen.
Okay, go ahead. Who's that? Was that Richard again?
I was just saying, look, the more money that shows up, it's only better if it actually goes to the unsecured creditors.
Correct.
If all the plebs that deposited are unsecured creditors, which they usually are.
Yeah. Well, there's a process of bankruptcy, and a lot of people know there's a process of some more of this. I mean, there's FTX. If it's proven that FTX had complete wrongdoing and counterfeiting and broke laws when it comes to many of the projects that they had listed, including we know they did it to Reef, we know they did it to New Genesis through Liquid, we know they did it to Celsius, where the guy with the smoking gun just will not speak. He was on the board of FTX, so we know he has it. I'm not trying to dox that guy, but we're just waiting for the smoking gun on some of this stuff. And it's there, it exists. And if some of these companies are able to prove too, like they kind of move up on the list of who could potentially be getting money from FTX as well. I think here's the important thing for FTX users to understand. And I really hate to tell you this, unless they're able to recover a bunch of money that's floating out there in assets like real estate, it's going to be much harder for people on FTX to get money back than anywhere else, because the insolvency hole is so much bigger. It's like 95%.
Hey, back up Forza here, really quick. We have some breaking news. SPF is retweeting, and it seems to be a lot of propaganda related to, I think, some of your efforts down there. So if you want to head over to his page.
Why can't he has me blocked?
Where's his page? I can pull it up.
Oh, here. Let me text him. I'll text him right now.
So if you're in the Bahamas listening, FTX is now posting about what's happening here in the Bahamas.
Bro,
is this Twitter?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm right now. I literally have his phone number. Bro, why you propagandaing me? That's what I'm gonna say. He reads them too. I get the red receipts.
Oh, that's FTX.
This is him. Yeah, I got his phone number if you want it. I got it.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to give it out on stream because as bad of a person he is, and as much as I want to shave his head, I'm not going to dox his phone number out here, which maybe somebody else can leak it. I know when I asked for it, about 19 people sent it to me, so this phone number floats out there pretty easy.
Yeah, but don't spam up what law enforcement will need to capture later.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Data
Yeah. Good call. Yep. Yeah. Why are you
talking? I was going to say, when people talk about how bad Bernie Madoff was, they don't realize that 85% of the money was recovered.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
You're not going to get 8.5% out of this deal.
Yeah. I'm going to ask him to unblock me so I can see. Unblock me so I can see. Sam, this guy doesn't understand that I'm not going to let him go. I'm like a bulldog. He doesn't realize this. But the poor guy. Yeah. So, okay. All right. Anybody else have any? Yeah, we got some word. He's retweeting some stuff. He's, Sam.
He's retweeting people talking about the Attorney General's address, and he retweeted a couple of quotes about how, the Bahamas will be held in high esteem whenever it's wound down.
Yeah. Sam, it's going to be held in high esteem when you're not here anymore. That's what it's going to be. All right. Anybody else? People got some more questions, I guess. We're here for y'all.
I think the Bahamas is going to be fine. I think you guys will get more tourism out of this just from getting drops on popular media.
Free
advertising. They can probably make more money too because some otherwise half shady guys will think they could do it better and come and start businesses. Yeah. So I think Bahamas is going to win on this both ways.
I agree with that. I love the Bahamas. I've had a great time here. I've only been here once before, and I lost money at the casino. This time I won money. Did y'all know that people in the Bahamas are not, like residents of the Bahamas are not, let me rephrase that. Bahamian citizens are not allowed to gamble in the casinos here. Did y'all know that? I found that out from my guy Lincoln here. It's crazy. All right,
we're suffering from economic apartheid, and we're not allowed to gamble in the casinos. We're not allowed to own the casinos, even though it is our number one industry. And this is some of the things that we want to fight. So if I go to a casino with Ben tonight, he can gamble, but I can't gamble because I'm Bahamian. And so my only crime would be being a Bahamian.
Yeah.
And this is ridiculous. And Bahamians just allow this.
Who's allowed to own the casinos? Who's allowed to own them?
Foreigners.
Only foreigners. Yep. So Richard, are you ready? You and me. Let's open it up. Let's open up the new casino down here, and let's.
I hate gambling, dude. I never gamble.
Well, I'm good at it, so I don't know what to say for you, Richard. All right.
Wait. You said you lost money last time.
Yeah, I did, but I made like $5,000 last night in blackjack. Don't tell the government. That was a joke, but I did. I won like $5,000 playing blackjack last night. I don't even like blackjack that much, but you know, when you got the winning streak, you know, so much winning lately. I'm just getting tired of winning. You know what I mean? When SBF goes to prison, it's going to be real nice. So who else we got in here? We've got David. What's going on? We got David. We got the guy with the weirdest name in all of cryptosexual in here. So you guys have any points you guys want to add?
Did you touch on what's going on, Ben? What's going on?
What's up, man?
You guys seen that the AG actually he actually worked for or could have worked for Tether. I don't know.
Yeah, for Deltec. Yeah, that's he left. We were talking about that earlier. He left in the middle of a term.
He was in the government, and in the middle of his term, he left the cabinet and got a job at Deltec. Okay, and he just abandoned us. And so a lot of people were typing about that. And so we have a caller on our end, so we'll take this call.
Okay, we're gonna call. I'm dancing.
Good afternoon, you're live.
Yeah, Mr. Lincoln, how you doing?
I am awesome, you're live.
Could we not take this to a referendum with the people requiring for Sam Bankman to be extradited from the country?
No, you go to referendums for laws, and you're not going to get this government because they're attached to this whole thing because they have political coonies with shares in FTX. You're not going to get them to do a referendum.
So, how in effect can we? I guess the man is correct. Fraud would be the right way to go after him to establish a criminal link that he would be able to be extradited out of the country.
We need him out of the Bahamas so that he can get prosecuted properly. He's not going to be, in our opinion, prosecuted properly in the Bahamas.
Well, we also know that we're also pushing for a change in this government. So with all of that going on at the same time.
What change do you want in the government?
Well, this government is intrinsically evil. That's the PLP and the FNL. They can't help it. They stumble over it. They fall and it hits them in the face all the time. So the process is for us now, we got to start with somebody clean, somebody on the outside looking in to establish what all is correct and what is not. They're so tied up with stuff that you can't get to do anything.
So who do you want to see govern the country that is not corrupt?
Say again, sir.
Who do you want to see govern the country that is not corrupt?
Right now, you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's what a leader does. He goes to the problems, he solves problems, he sees what the people are talking about.
So you want me and the COI to govern the country?
Correct.
Thank you, man. We appreciate your endorsement.
All right, sir.
Thank you, man.
I'll let y'all go.
All right, thank you, man. All right, and we will end corruption, and we will have a Bahamas where everyone can operate without the corruption, without paying off anybody, and we can benefit from our natural resources. That's it.
Well, cool.
Isn't that conference on the 30th coming up in New York? Is he just going to be FaceTiming in for that?
Yeah, there's no way he steps on American soil. He won't even leave his apartment. He won't even leave There are rumors that he has already been shuffled somewhere else here in the Bahamas. As you know, I mean, there's a zillion different properties that they own, but I think at the end of the day, there's 0% chance that he goes. And let me tell you guys, this Andrew Ross Sorkin, he's a bad actor. I know this for a fact. I have spoken with people that have worked with him. He is a bad actor. He literally lies in his articles. And this is a well-known open secret with the New York Times and with all the media that they touch. Okay. So the fact he works for Goldman Sachs. Okay. With the bankers, Andrew Ross Sorkin is a paid lackey for the bankers. So no one needs to watch that. We need to make Andrew Ross Sorkin understand that traditional media is dead. The New York Times has no power, and that going forward, the power of the people is in social media with free speech on Twitter. That's where it is. And so we don't need to give any credibility if this. Now, I would I actually do not believe he's going to speak there. I don't even think virtually. I think there's going to be so much backlash against him in the next 3 days and against the New York Times for this that I think they're going to end up putting him down there. Just like old Yeller. So I don't think he's going to speak, but if he does, then we definitely have to make sure that people in crypto don't support that. So we got another caller here on.
All right, we're gonna go to the phone lines again. I think we missed them. You can call back in.
Yeah,
I might have accidentally hung you up.
Yeah.
So, Bayman, you can call us in 804-4264.
Okay, go ahead with the question.
I got a question here from the chat from Shane BTC69. The FTX collapse created a better or worse outcome for crypto and the migration to DeFi. Talk about the political fallout of all of this. How far back does this set the industry? Do you see this as a Trojan horse attack to displace the industry and ring fence it from all of the legacy financial institutions?
Yeah, no,
He was trying to kill DeFi. He was literally getting laws made to kill DeFi. He was trying to kill the thing that would have saved his users.
Yeah, we told people that for 5 weeks before it came out, and people laughed at us. For 5 weeks, I told people this was coming, and everyone's like, "No, Sam Bankman-Fried's so great. Look at his great haircut." No, bud. He's a bad vegan. Okay, just kind of like that one crazy girl from New York. But the fact is that I agree with Richard. He was trying to destroy DeFi, and going forward, there has never been a better commercial for decentralization than what we have just seen from Sam Bankman-Fried. So in his attempt to try to destroy peer-to-peer and try to destroy decentralization, he made it like a neon sign for everybody to look at like, oh, no, actually, that's right. We forget it's traditional finance and exchanges and centralization that is the problem. And I also want to say, when it comes to, the first or the second part of this question was this a Trojan horse to bring in regulation? No, guys, this was not a Trojan horse. This was a system that was set up that was not supposed to be blown up overnight. But the reason why this is such a big story is because we were working with NBC News. CoinDesk puts out an article. And also you had CZ, those three things, because basically once CZ put out the article, we were able to work with our NBC reporter to put out a lot of the evidence that we already had exposing this. All three of these things together blew this thing up. The politicians, the Ukrainian aid, that we haven't even gotten into that whole aspect of this. None of that was supposed to be uncovered overnight. And it all got uncovered overnight. And all of these politicians have so much egg on their face, they don't know what to do. We're just still trying to figure out the relationship between FTX, Republicans, Democrats, and who is on whose side. We just got the news about Kevin McCarthy coming out last week. He was probably in the clear on the Republican side. He was paid by FTX to stop Republicans from winning his own party. So this is so much more complicated than just a Democrat versus Republican issue. And everybody wants to portray it like, oh, the Democrats got all the money, and certainly Joe Biden was the biggest donor, Sam was the number 2 donor to Joe Biden, obviously, SBF was. But the fact is, it's much more corrupt and widespread than that. You do not see a scandal of corruption of this proportion just come out on accident, or excuse me, you only see this kind of thing come out on accident. So Sam, where the regulation was coming in, Sam was meeting with Gary Gensler for 6 months. That was the Trojan horse. Sam was the Trojan horse. And we've actually weeded him out. A lot of people know that we have a bill. I will go and throw out another tweet with our policy Discord where people can come support our bill and check out what we're doing. Because what we're doing solves all this problem. It's the exact opposite of what SBF was trying to do. And when this comes out, people are going to be in support of it. And I listen to all these people saying like, oh, crypto's screwed now. Crypto's screwed. The regulation's coming in. Not with our bill. Our bill fixes everything. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect because we're having to bring in regulation. When people see what we're doing, people in crypto are going to get behind it 100%. Well, I don't know. I guess there's 4% of people that think Sam's a good guy. So maybe those 4% we rule out. 96% of people in crypto are going to support what we're doing. And I believe that what bill we have is going to go in as an amendment for the Boozman bill. It is going to be passed. We have bipartisan support. We have huge political backers on both sides. And people are going to find we're not as screwed as regulation as you think we are. Our roadmap with obstacles just got so much more clear because SBF is now out of our way. He purposely, how all this started between me and him, he tried to sabotage our bill. So I guess, when I told him to get ready, he didn't know what was coming. But, he's out of right now. So we want to go to this caller over here?
Oh, I think we just missed him. I think we dropped them.
Sorry.
I just want to say something because I want to share my screen for those who are on my platform watching this. I am now even more concerned with. I went on Twitter and I can see what Sam did. He retweeted what the Attorney General said. He retweeted his press conference.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever see someone who is accused of things retweeting the DOJ or the lawmakers. It's almost as if you're working together and you're promoting what he said. That's very strange to me.
That is weird. Yeah, you're the target. You're the target and you're retweeting.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. What's the question here?
I was going to say, is there any way to find a connection if he's given that kind of money? I mean, it seems like, to what you guys said earlier, it's like clearly, like the people who are in government in the Bahamas, I don't think their intentions like, oh, we don't want the Bahamas to look bad. I think they don't want themselves to look bad by prosecuting them, just like some of those establishment people in the U.S.
That's it. Who is Mario Newfall?
He's a guy that does a lot of Twitter Spaces. Yeah. Why? What do you think about that guy? Because I'm not going to make a comment on him.
No. I think we need to. I just want to know who he was because he is also retweeting with the Attorney General.
Sam is retweeting Mario.
Yes.
Okay.
But Mario is quoting the Attorney General.
He's quoting the Attorney General, and then SBF is retweeting Mario, which is really interesting. So, and I think did Mario try to come down here? Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in comparison to Mario Spaces, you're bringing a lot more info. And one of the reasons I'm here is because I got rugged at, Mount Gox back in the day. So I've been around the block for a long time, and I know how important it is for people to actually understand how these things work. And here's my point to this whole your space versus his space. We got almost 7,000 people in here. And if you look at the number of retweets, it's less than 300. That's the number one thing that we got to change right now. So if anybody's listening to this, share with your community. Let people know what's actually going on. Let them hear this because it does go a long way into getting, this whole understanding that crypto is not bad. There are some bad players, but crypto is not bad.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, certainly if people want to share this space and people want to get this information out here, then that's great. That's not why I do this. We're not down here doing this for clicks. We're not doing this so we get the most people in our Twitter spaces. We're the only people down here with boots on the ground that are giving you answers. And if people appreciate that, then they'll appreciate it and they'll get in. If people still want to hate on me or say, like somebody, you're what are you doing? You're just tweeting. You're not even doing anything down there. Like, open your eyes. So, I think when people realize like who the real champion of crypto, and I don't mean champion like the greatest, I mean like the person championing the cause for crypto is, that we're not talking, we are doing it, we are making actions. And I go right back to what we said earlier. This is a Bit Squad. This is a crypto community. This is more than just, it's the actions of everybody that's helping here is why we're able to do what we're doing. So we have another comment.
Go to the phone lines.
Okay, go ahead. Another phone question here.
Good evening, you're live. Good night.
Hello. How do we get the Prime Minister not take our sovereign wealth fund in places like the stock market or FTX and give it to the Bahamian people, our sovereign welfare fund? And thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think the international community needs to know that the Bahamas was going into carbon credits. It was something our party championed to go into carbon credits. But the government, it was for Bahamians to benefit from it. Our government does not want our Bahamian people to benefit from anything. So they said that they were actually going to give all of our carbon credits, which they say is worth billions, they were going to give it over to Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. And they were going to give it to him. And then he was going to be able to use these carbon credits to have a real asset in his company. And so we believe that was a part of the scheme. And so they were stealing our carbon credits to give it to him.
Gosh.
And that is scandalous. And they had already announced that, and they were supposed to start in December. They had already tabled a bill to be able to do that, to give our natural resources and our carbon credits to a private company. And that's what they were doing with Sam Bankman-Fried. It was going to be the crime of the century but it was foiled because they couldn't get it done in time. And so what we need to do...
Now, that's important. That's important because the whole game for Sam and FTX was trying to fake it till you make it. And when you start factoring in these credits that we're going to start coming in, our whole play was to stop them from purchasing Voyager. Like we had a timeline before CoinDesk, before CZ did all that. By the end of November, we had to have this out because the acquisition was supposed to go through in the middle of December. And we were trying to block that. But now you're saying these ESG, these carbon credits, were another aspect of this that could have possibly helped them catch up on that insolvency hole.
Yes.
Wow.
And so the plan was to use that and steal it away from the Bahamian people. And so our government is totally ignoring that at this time. But we feel that was a crime of the century. So the court asks, how do we stop them from doing it? They have already took away our Sovereign Wealth Fund Act, which could have allowed Bahamians to benefit from all of our natural resources. We have amazing natural resources here. We have sand. Everything needs sand. You can't build without sand. Paint is made from sand. Sand is the number one used natural resource other than water.
Yeah.
All right. And so we have more sand than anyone in the world.
Do you really?
Yes. This is Bahamas, man.
More than anyone in the world?
We have more sand, usable sand. Like
usable sand.
The deserts have sand, but they can't use that.
Yeah, wow.
You see? Because the sand is too smooth. You can't use it. Our sand can be used.
This is alpha right here, guys. You guys are getting alpha about sand right here.
Yeah. And so sand is the number one natural resource. They use it for almost everything.
Yeah.
We have aragonite. We have limestone. They take billions of dollars worth of limestone from the Bahamas. And so what we want, and this is why I said we're going to be the Dubai of this region.
Yeah.
Dubai lets their people benefit from their oil, their natural gas. We are going to do the same thing. Our natural resources are valuable, but we're not using it to that level. And so we want the international community to see what we want. We want to share our natural resources and benefit from it. And that is what we are lobbying for.
Good.
Funny fact, there's a lending crypto platform called Sand that's token.
Yes, there is.
Hashtag Sand that freezed all deposits last week, I think.
Oh. No, this is not Sandbox.
No, Sand.
No, actually, it's an actual lending platform called
Salt. Okay, that's Salt.
Oh, the lending platform. But there's also a token.
Yeah, but Sandbox is different. We like it. I like Sandbox. I know Richard hates everything, but
in Bahamas we have
Sand dollars.
Digital currency is called Sand dollar.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's not crypto.
Ethereum with 2 Fs.
You like Ethereum with 2 Fs?
I like Ethereum. I think I was trolling. This is a funny way to misspell it. I think Ethereum is a nice project.
Oh, well, there you go. How about that? What about Cardano? Do you like Cardano because you and Charles are supposed to have a debate one day, and I'm going to try to make it happen?
I mean, I would love to have it.
I know you would.
We agree on a lot of stuff.
I agree. I think you do.
I think you would agree with a lot of the stuff that he thinks too.
Yeah.
I just,
for sure.
Like back before he had launched and he had vaporware for a few years, I was like, hey, what's going on? But now that I've got my own vaporware for a year, I'm a little more chill about it.
There you go.
We have news.
Well, we have news. Breaking news. What's breaking news?
3O DAO in response to what we're doing is just officially submitted a snapshot of the proposal to put together DAO to fund us to the tune of $1 million.
They voted on it. It's good.
If they're voting now.
So 3O DAO is a DAO that is voting to possibly pledge $1 million to our bill, to our 501c3 or 501c4, our 501c4 to help with our bill. So that'd be amazing. If that gets voted in, if you're part of 3O DAO and that gets voted yes, that means, Ryan, what would timeline for us making the bill public be?
Once the initial funding comes in, we would be able to move on this within 30 days.
Within 30 days, it would be public. So there you go. For you guys that are interested in what we're doing. And a lot of people know, I've sent it to Richard. I know Richard knows what it is. But, okay. All right. So let's move on. Anybody, more questions, I guess. I know a lot of people have questions. At some point, I have to go do something different. So maybe we'll do about 45 more minutes.
Hey, I'll leave you guys space, man. I'll hop off and leave you guys space. I really appreciate you having me on, Ben. I'm glad to see you pushing legal and trying to find justice by creating new, better laws and by trying to put evil bastards in jail.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that. And thanks for coming by, Richard.
The guys on YouTube, if you're not following Ben on Twitter or me on Twitter, we're good follows over there.
For sure. Yeah. Wait, Richard, why are you not following me on Twitter?
Dude, I literally only follow Hex Masculinist because every time someone posts like a chart I don't agree with, I unfollow. Or if someone posts any altcoin, I unfollow. I'm really like.
Well, why don't you just put up a poll whether they think you should follow me back or not? And if the maximalists say no, then don't.
I don't follow nobody.
Well, yeah, Richard, but we're freaking friends, bro. We're friends, bro. Okay, we transcend crypto.
Ben and I are friends.
Thank you. Okay.
He's one of my better friends I don't follow. All right. Talk to you later, guys.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Richard. Okay, all right. More people in space. If people want to ask some questions, we'll go for.
Ben, cryptosexual here. I thought I'd jump in.
There he is.
Hey, buddy. Hey, first of all, I do have a question. But let me just start. I'm going to pick up on what you were saying earlier. You're the only person right now in the space that displays the passion and the tenacity to clean up the crypto mafia.
Thank you.
Right, and anyone who wants to fault you for anything where you may have been wrong or a little off before, they're not being fair, because you can't be in the space for as long as you are or have been on air, all those broadcasts, and be right on everything all the time. It's just impossible.
Thank you.
And your position constantly evolves. You do the best with the information you have on hand. And even if you didn't get it right, you stick around and you do the research. I've worked with your team. I've given them information on SBF, and they listened, and you guys listened, and you did something with it. And I want to thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I certainly appreciate that. We try to be open, and you're right. Like, nobody in this space is without a sin. And what I mean, it doesn't have to be where it was intentional. It's a new developing space. Sometimes you think you're doing the right thing, and you really are trying to do things with good intentions, and it blows up in your face. The important thing is, do you grow? Do you mature? And what you see is you have basically two kinds of people that come into the space that get really big. Some people, they get really big, and they make money, and they leave, and they want to retire, and they don't really care. You have other people that get big in the space, and they continue to mature and continue to grow because they care about ideals much more bigger than themselves, brand, or what's happening. And you really right now, especially in this bear market, are starting to see the difference between the two. So thank you for all those kind of words, and we certainly appreciate all of the information you've been sending us.
So my question for you is, once we get through this cleansing phase, and are you going to help the crypto communities like Voyager and like Celsius? I'm really close with Celsius.
Right.
Are you going to help us rebuild the space and make it better for everybody so we can bring new people back into the space?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to understand that is a tricky situation. I think first I would say the number one thing we're going to really start pushing for is how can we assist these platforms, not because we like Alex Mashinsky or we like part of the team there at Celsius, or we're pushing to try to help solve some of these problems for the users, right? So I don't want anybody to get confused. If I'm coming out for Celsius and I'm trying to figure out ways to help bridge those solvency gaps, or to look for evidence that might lead to involvement from other players that you didn't know was involved in that, it's for the users. That's what we're going for. Voyager, my father-in-law lost a ton of money on Voyager. So the first thing we have to focus on is continuing to see what happens with these reorganizations, with these structures, with these, make sure the good actors are trying to acquire them if they do get acquired. And I'm not making a statement on any specific person regarding that. I'm just saying that in general. That is the move. Once we know what the step forward is for these platforms, there is a balancing act of making sure that we are trying to create common sense, not regulation the right word, common sense standards for some of these third-party platforms to where people don't get totally wrecked. And we as influencers have to do a better job of communicating and preaching the fact, not your keys, not your crypto. You can have a percentage of your portfolio that you want to put on that stuff, but personally, like, it's hard for me to ever come out and say, like, hey, it's a great idea to put money on third-party sites now. I think where we can really have some success is when people are able to figure out how to use third-party platforms in a decentralized way to where they're not having to give up their keys. I don't even know how that happens or how that works. But in general, we have to build up the intelligence and education level and confidence and security of people in crypto to where they understand if they are going to use a lending platform, we're always going to suggest using on-chain. But at the same time, like, if they're going to do that, it needs to be a percentage of their portfolio that, like, they're comfortable losing. And that's just a fact until we get solutions. So we're talking about rebuilding the space and rebuilding these platforms. We have to rebuild them in a way that, like, I can confidently come out and say, like, hey, yeah, it's totally fine to put your money on this platform. How long do you think that's going to be? Like, I don't have any confidence to say that about any platform right now. So I think we should the confidence.
It's a process.
It is.
It's definitely going to be a process.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're fighting for the users. Thank you. We're going to be fighting for the users of these platforms for sure. So obviously right now this has a lot of my attention, but Celsius, obviously we have a lot of money on Celsius. And just so everybody understands, we are very potentially going to take a deal with an attorney where they're going to buy our Celsius claim for a certain percentage on the dollar. Which, if you guys have talked, if you have a big account, you talk to people like, we're not getting a higher percentage than anybody else that might be offering a payout. We would rather have the liquidity now. Even after we get paid out on Celsius, we're going to keep fighting for Celsius. This isn't about the money that we lost on Celsius. This is about the users. Voyager is about the users. I could really care less about Three Arrows Capital, to be honest with you. I don't care about a venture capital firm. They can go screw off anyways. I didn't like them anyways. I don't know how your average retail investor did not lose on Three Arrows Capital outside of if they had money tied up into something that it affected. So Suzu, I don't even know the guy. I don't care about them. But Voyager, Celsius, and FTX, we're going to be fighting to get these people back as much money as they can.
Mm-hmm. I want to jump a question in there from my audience. Someone asks, I have a question, Lincoln Bain. We see how the Bahamian government is handling this FTX ordeal. How would you handle it and protect our reputation? Listen, first and foremost, I remember back in the day, when bank managers, stole money or did something wrong, the banks would cover it up because they felt it would cause people to lose confidence in the bank. And so they would cover it up. And then they got to the point where they realized that, you know what? If they know that if a manager does something wrong, that we will arrest him and we will make it right, they will have more confidence in us. And so first and foremost, I would have made sure that we investigated this properly. No cover up, no press conference where, we're just talking around the situation. We would have found who did wrong. And I will tell you that Sam Bankman-Fried would have already been arrested. He would have been in jail right now, not in a $40 million penthouse.
Yeah.
He would have been in jail questioning for fraud, for money laundering, and for a lot of other crimes. We would have done that. But first and foremost, the DARE Act would have been a proper act. The DARE Act would not have had a loophole where Sam Bankman-Fried or anyone could open a company in that industry without any minimum requirements and without any capital requirements. And so we feel that they should shut the industry down now until they fix the act and then resume. This needs to happen ASAP, because if Sam did it, others could have done it. Other people's money may be in jeopardy. And so that's a simple fix. From Sam came and could not show me what he actually owned, I would have questioned him. When he had come with his FTT, and he couldn't show me the value of it, and that was his collateral, I would have chased him out of town and told him to go and get some collateral and come back. It's simple as that. But our corrupt politicians took his money, I believe, and did what they had to do. And that's it. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Okay. All right, guys, if you're still over here, we got about 30 more minutes. What is that alarm going off over there, Nick? Was that your Raiders lose alarm? What happened to the Raiders game, by the way? Did they won? The Raiders won? I had the Seahawks to cover. Oh, man, that's tough. The Falcons lost today. Pretty brutal. Thank you, Marcus Mariota, for being Marcus Mariota. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to check out who else is in here. If anybody else is asking for speak. Anybody that wants to chime in that's already got a speaker tag, you can go and ask a question.
Hey, man, thanks for everything you're doing. I had a couple quick questions.
Sure.
One, it is clear that the centralized exchanges have played a key role in mass adoption.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, what is your opinion on regulations on centralized exchanges going forward?
Yeah. Hold on one second. What did you say, Ryan? I retweeted it. 3-0 is in my chat, or did they request to speak? If 3-0 Dow is in the chat, request to speak, and I will add y'all. Sorry, I got distracted there. So the question was, what role have centralized exchanges played in adoption? Was that the question?
Well, it seems clear to me that these centralized exchanges, for as flawed and corrupt as they have been, they've also simultaneously played a pretty key role in mass adoption.
Sure.
So, that being said, what is your opinion on instilling regulations on centralized exchanges going forward?
Well, as you guys know, my Uncle Brian, he owns Coinbase, and Thanksgiving, we really had it out over this. I was trying to tell him DeFi to the moon, But the fact is, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Brian Armstrong is not my uncle. I've never even spoken to Brian Armstrong, and it makes me really sad because I've always wanted to really like get face to face with him and then see my reflection in his head. But the fact is that centralized exchanges have played a massive role. And this is why, like, we still on some level support centralized exchanges. They have to exist right now where we're at in crypto. You have to have a place to on and offboard people into the space. You can't go to Uniswap and put money in, okay? You have to have a place to onboard. The message needs to be that we need to teach people once you do that, you remove your funds. It's as easy as going to the Coinbase wallet or the Trust wallet for a hot wallet, not even necessarily cold storage. We want everyone to move to cold storage over time because in my opinion, it's a safer option. But these options are also good with the Coinbase wallet or with the Trust wallet. Exodus, I think, is another good wallet. There's plenty of good wallets out there that are hot wallets that you don't have to have cold storage for. The other thing is we must have liquidity. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Here's some alpha for you guys. One of the largest leverage trading sites in the entire world is working on a totally decentralized liquid leverage trading site. It's weird to tell people, hey, go put money on an exchange right now. It feels bad because we see these insolvency holes. But if people want to day trade, whether it's just spot trading or leverage trading, guess what, guys? Like, the liquidity only exists on centralized exchanges if it's kind of like a bank run almost, in a sense. Like, if everybody left centralized exchanges today and tomorrow went and started day trading on only decentralized exchanges, there's not enough liquidity or market makers to make the industry work. Yeah. So we have to have them in the short term. What we can't have when it comes to regulation, that's a great part of this question that you asked here. We can't have centralized exchange CEOs making crypto regulation. And that's the problem of what we've just seen with SBF trying to get rid of decentralization. It only benefits him. It was so funny, like Peter McCormick asked him this question, he said, like, what do you think about people saying you're doing this because it helps you? And he's like, well, actually, it doesn't. Yeah, shut the front door, Sam. What an idiot. Like, you can't just talk. And we saw this from the Eric Voorhees debate. You can't just talk and say things that don't make sense and people will be like, oh, yes, we worship your fro. Like, that's not how this works, So our regulation, which 3.0 DAO is in here right now, they're potentially helping us, fund some of this stuff, is that, we want to create mechanisms to get smart crypto regulation to where you don't have those negative influences. And yes, on some level, we have to make some concessions. But I tell you this, I will not give up a concession in crypto and decentralization until I'm forced to. Sam was ready to hand over the entire platter over to Gary Gensler. And Gary Gensler, he's the worst person in this entire space. And I can guarantee you, after we move a little bit further in what we're doing down here in the Bahamas and towards FTX, Gary Gensler is target number one. People lost more money this year because of Gary Gensler than because of SBF. Try to grasp that. This man has created no regulation, no clarity, and that's his entire job. He literally has done nothing other than have giant eyes and look like a lizard person and come down and shake his finger at crypto. That's all he does. So, I think removing him from the space when, we were talking about this earlier on a video before we went live here. Like, guys, the people in the Bahamas who are following this story, they know who Gary Gensler is and they don't trust him. No one in crypto trusts him. No one in the government trusts him. No one that works for the SEC trusts him. And now what we're seeing is no one internationally trusts him. This is a gigantic problem for the United States, and he must go soon. Tom Emmer, that's a guy who maybe could get this done. I mean, there are mixed reports on some of the stuff that he signed or hasn't signed. We're looking into that. We're reaching out to Tom for some comments on some things. But when you look at some of these people who came out pro-crypto, regardless of where there may be some smoke there too, these people, when the House Republicans take over in January, they must remove Gary Gensler month one.
Yeah. Right. I just want to take a phone call.
Real quick. Yeah, okay, follow up, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, real quick follow-up question on that. It does seem pretty clear, and as brought up Tom Emmer, because he's the only guy, elected leader, seems like really looking into this, and he says he's gotten multiple reports of people saying they've got evidence of basically Gary Gensler and SBF conspiring for months to essentially monopolize the regulatory scene on the crypto scene. So that being said, SBF claims that his seed money came from trading Bitcoin and reselling it in Japan.
It's South Korea, right? It was a kimchi premium where they made a lot of their money, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Do you buy that? Like, what I'm getting at is how far is it possible that he's been propped up as just kind of like a yes man, as a face from the beginning, from the start of FTX?
I would say this. I would say that in all actuality, he has been propped up since he was 7 years old and his parents put him on Adderall. This kid has been brainwashed and he's been doped up his entire life by his family. You go look at Joe Bankman, and we got a new name, Alan Bankman. I'm not sure who that is. We're going to it's Alan Joseph Bankman. Okay, that's his dad. They call him Joe, but it's Alan Joseph Bankman, which, by the way, we've looked into his grandparents. They don't even exist. Anybody that can dig up information on SBF's grandparents, please, let's go down that rabbit trail. But this guy's been doped up and brainwashed since he was a child by his parents. And I believe they are the two catalysts for this entire thing, guys. Wake up. They're securities lawyers and they're professors and they're worth 9 figures, okay? There's no way they're not complicit in this. I think they set this up. This does not absolve Sam for responsibility. Just kind of like if you were brainwashed and you murdered somebody, like you still murdered somebody. It's an ideological and philosophical hole that they put him in, and he's been complicit in it. He's just always been able to use their influence to get out of any problems that he has. I want to be very clear on this. And look, I may turn out to be wrong on this. I do not believe this is a Democrat problem, okay? There are massive problems with the donations to the Democrats. Massive problems. This is about parents that set this up for personal financial gain and political influence. And it was you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I believe if Republicans were completely in power at this time, that there's a good chance a lot of this money would have flown to them as well. This is a political corruption problem. And for people to get too bogged down into who the enemy is here when it comes to political parties, you're missing the point. That's what they want you to do. So what I would say is people have been saying they believe this is a giant infrastructure set up to funnel money to the Democratic Party. I believe this is a giant infrastructure set up to create massive amounts of money for political influence. And it also funneled mostly money to the Democratic Party. There's a difference there. So I don't think this was a plan that was set up 74 years ago by the Freemasons to make Joe Biden the president. But it was a plan once the money started flowing in to not allow Donald Trump to be president because they worked against him. That they basically, once you have a political party in power and you're able to control influence, why would you ever want the other people to take over? This is an FTX problem. This is a securities problem. This is an SEC problem. This is a political corruption problem. And I know we get very polarized. People that watch my channel and know me, you know which side I'm on. If you don't know who I vote for, then you don't pay any attention to what I talk about, what I do, okay? We've got to drop those pretenses. Crypto is not a political line. It benefits both Republicans and both Democrats. And if we get too bogged down into strictly attacking one party over this, then I think we're going to get in trouble and we're going to miss the entire point here of what opportunity we have. Now we have a phone call over here. You want to?
I think we lost them.
I'm sorry. I'm a hog. I'm a hog.
No problem. But
you guys have some pigs here in the Bahamas too? Don't you have those?
Yeah,
the swimming pigs?
Of course.
I'm sorry. I'm a swimming pig when it comes to my
I want to agree with you saying this is a corruption problem.
Yeah.
You remember that the Enron scandal. Of course, that was the money went to the Republicans. Right?
There you
George
go.
Bush was the president at the time. And that went to the Republicans. This one seems to be going to the Democrats mostly. And so this is a corruption problem because not only was it Democrats and Republicans, it's also the Bahamian government, which is corrupt at this time.
All right, awesome. Somebody else have some points they want to bring up here?
Yeah, I think we have Dallas has been waiting for a while. So Dallas, what's your question for Matt?
So I mean, just a couple comments, I guess, in the last couple of things. So it is just like an establishment corruption problem.
Yes.
Because there's obviously people on both sides that took money. You mentioned like one guy, Kevin McCarthy, like establishment and corrupt as well. A lot of these people are wolves in sheep's clothing and pretend to be who they have to be to survive. The other question that Stephen had about like what can actually happen with some of these like centralized on ramps people use. So I think the biggest thing was like to look at like where what actually did FTX do, and what did these other lending desks do that were so problematic? Which is A, like dipping the customer funds, and then B, loan them out to people under collateralized, which is crazy. I mean, there's a reason why like despite all these things blowing up, like Aave didn't blow up because it's over collateralized. There's a way that system works, and you had like lending desks like Genesis. They were giving money to 3AC, Alameda, without them putting up sufficient collateral. So they're putting up less collateral than what they were borrowing, and they gave them money based on trust. But these are like new groups who took that money to go risk it on and go degen mode. So if like I'm not a big fan and don't have a ton of faith in like regulators for that world, but I just those would be my 2 cents to add, I guess, on like what could actually be done is like setting up like in any jurisdiction, even though Bahamas is going to be a bit more loose, and that's great that it is. Dipping in the customer fund should absolutely be. I mean, you should get locked up for that. There should be no excuse.
Absolutely, it's a criminal act, and that's what people really need to grasp. It's a criminal act. It's not about crypto. It's not about like Ryan Pinder tried to say from Bahamas. Well, price went down. Like, no, guys, that's not what this is. It's a criminal act. Agree with you 100%. So we got about 20 minutes left here. If people have some more, let's see, Meta Man X is raising his hand there. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful time in the sunshine of the Bahamas over there.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, man. So my question is, so in order to, I guess I hear, in order to put him in jail, someone has to file a claim in the Bahamas, like a Bahamian citizen has to file a claim against SBF or the company.
Yeah, that's what we've been told, but we've also been told by the people we talked to today that are filing a lawsuit that has already happened actually, and the people have been filing that and they've been hiding it, and so that's why they're filing a lawsuit. There's going to be a story, I believe, out on Wednesday or Thursday from Bloomberg about this lawsuit. We actually got the information first because Bloomberg didn't want to put it out till it was filed. We want to give you the information as soon as we have it and it's credible, and we interviewed the guy. That video will be coming out at 9:00 tomorrow morning, along with a couple clips on Twitter from that interview where you guys can see what they're doing. So, Lincoln believes that really what we have to do is like the things have been filed, but Sam and FTX had been giving like tablets to the police, for instance. Like they give that actually happened.
Yes,
he gave the police force entire tablets so they could have better technology. So what does that mean? That means that they're not going to go and arrest him because he scratched their back and now they're trying to scratch his, which sounds probably disgusting. I would not want to scratch Sam's back. I know Caroline probably did a few times. I think I just threw up in my mouth. So that's basically what's going on.
So this is the police tweeting about it.
The police tweeting on, and look, there's Autism Capital, which is ran by FTX people. Royal Bahamas Police on October 31st, this is Halloween 2022, Ms. Zoe Gibson Boleg of FTX Digital Markets paid a courtesy call on Commissioner Clayton Fernander and presented the entire police force with tablets. So there you go. Now, when we say tablets, we mean like iPads. We don't mean like tablets like the pills that were sitting in Sam's front seat when I took pictures of his car.
Pills?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, look, I always want to be very, like, we understand some people have to take Adderall and some people take Ritalin and some people take stuff like that. I had somebody message me said we were like kind of speaking down. We're not. These people have abused it. And like, if you look at what Caroline Ellison said, she said, I don't understand her basic thing was, I don't understand how people that aren't on amphetamines work. And we understand that it was basically a pill party down there, and they encouraged their workers to get on medications that they did not need because they thought that it would help them to be more focused.
I just wanted to add something for your caller who asked a question about whether someone has to make a complaint. If the police believes that money laundering and other such crimes took place, they don't need a complaint.
Wow, look at that.
So, for example, if you believe that someone was smuggling drugs from the Bahamas to Miami, the police don't need a complaint from someone to lock you up on your drugs. And so there's certain crimes that the police will be able to be the complainant in. So they can lock him up for fraud. For fraud, they'll have to be complaining, but for money laundering and other crimes, they can lock him up.
Boom, there you go.
They could have already done so. But of course, the government seems to be complicit, and anyone with two eyes can see, based on the Attorney General's speech today, that the government is hiding something.
Okay, let me tell you guys, like, I think it's important for me to point out, like, we're some of the only people, well, we are the only people that got in the Albany. We're the only people with boots on the ground trying to find all these answers out. There's a lot of stuff floating around about what may or may not have been happening here. And I think with us being here for the last 48 hours, I mean, I've had a team here for 72 hours. They came down before I did, scouting everything out. My general sense of what's going on here in the Bahamas is there is definitely a government corruption problem that is protecting him from getting arrested by the actual police here. However, he does not have any protection with him, okay? He's counting on the security guards of the Albany. If you think he's got, like, the military down here protecting him, or he's got assassins with, that are his bodyguards, no, he has none of that. Anybody that wants to come down here and get to that building, they can come down here and get to that building. It is not difficult. Even if you didn't go through the front door, it's not hard to climb the wall over there. I didn't do it. I wouldn't do something like that. But I'm just saying, it's easy access to get in there, and there's not a lot of questions asked. We were there for, 4 hours before anybody said anything to us, and it was our security guard, Brian, over there. Nice guy.
Brian Rowe.
We like Brian Rowe. He's a good guy. We like
Yes,
Brian.
he's a good guy.
I know people probably heard us getting into it on the spaces with him, but he was doing his job, and I got nothing against him. He doesn't have protection down here, guys, okay? So we're looking at the Bahamas government that is not arresting him intentionally. They could arrest him while they're doing the investigation, but they are not doing that. The United States government hopefully is compiling a case against him to come down and get him, but they've not done it now. So I think those are kind of the main mile markers here of what's going on criminally with SBF right now, to the best that we understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And you agree? You think that assessment's pretty good?
Yeah.
Guys, I came down here for 2 days. I'm already the police chief. Would you vote for me for police chief?
Yeah, I would vote for
Thank you,
police
Lincoln.
chief.
Thank you. This is
not in the Bahamas, though. We're going to need a Bahamian.
You're going to need a Bahamian.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
patriotic.
Yeah. I like
you
it.
can come as a consultant.
I'll do it.
We're going to get the FBI to come in and help us investigate some of this corruption.
Can you give me a badge?
A badge?
It can be fake. You can get it at a party store. Okay, go ahead. Next question.
Yeah, I had a question.
Sure.
Like, since your uncle, you said your uncle's the CEO of Coinbase, right?
That was a joke. We call him Uncle Brian affectionately.
The second question is, why do you keep stressing on that he doesn't have security? I understand the man's probably took a lot of money from people, right? But you keep really stressing that word.
Yeah, because it's a lot. Because it's a lie. Right. Yeah.
Nobody's there to protect him. You're trying to stir up some You're not going to. You're trying to stir up someone's life to be taken. Fuck you for what you're trying to do. And you're like,
are you on Adderall, bro?
Yeah, that was pretty quick. Somebody removed him. You got to. I knew that guy was going to be no good because he literally, this is the propaganda machine of FTX. I guarantee you that guy is part of a paid army of people of propaganda that FTX has. How do I know that? And I don't know who promoted him to speaker. You probably didn't notice, but what's that?
Oh, he was just a junkie on Adderall.
Well, I will tell you this.
He was just having a hard time reading his lines, man.
The entire time he was in this chat requesting, he was literally hitting the dislike button. He was hitting the thumbs down for about 2 hours straight. And I was watching it. The thing is, when you look at Autism Capital, when you look at a lot of these media arms that FTX is control of, they use misdirection to try to make you think something that's not true. Guys, listen, I put up poll after poll after poll. The general numbers we get back are 94 to 96% of people believe Sam is a horrible person. He needs to be prosecuted. He needs to be removed from the space. When you start dicing that out in the comments, you will find those numbers are not reflected in the comments. The comments, you will find much more favorable sentiment towards FTX and towards Sam in the comments. We know what they do. We know the propaganda. And the thing is, when you have 94 to 96% of people that agree on something, and I believe a lot of those people vote against that. They actually clicked the wrong button because they didn't understand the question. It's probably closer to 98%. Guys, it's common sense that he's a criminal and a bad person. It's nobody can look at what he's done and really come out on his side. When you look at people like Kevin O'Leary coming out in favor of Sam Bankman-Fried, it's so obvious that it's propaganda. It doesn't fly. That's why the crypto community is so in support of what we're doing, because they see through it. And this is what they've done from day one. What they're doing with this lawsuit that we're going to talk more about in the morning, they literally are creating Telegram groups to come out against the people that are filing these lawsuits. It's their MO. Sam's modus operandi since he began was to hire private investigators to follow people and blackmail and extort them, was to create these bot armies, was to create these propaganda wings of media. Guys, people are not fooled anymore by what's going on. And when you look at the mainstream media, when you look at the Washington Post and you look at the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal episode or a Wall Street Journal article, and when you look at the Forbes article that was pro of Caroline, Sweet Caroline, like, listen, guys, all of those, this is why mainstream media has zero credibility. All 4 of those articles are written from the perspective of one of those people in the 4%. And 96% of people look through that garbage and they know that it's fake. And guess what, guys? We have hit a moment in history. We're on social media and on Twitter. Thank you to Elon Musk, who I did hate before and I don't hate him today. Okay? We have free speech here on Twitter, and we're actually able to be more powerful and effective than the mainstream media. We have hit a pivot point in history that we got to push this forward all the way. God, I got fired up. I hate the mainstream media. Screw them. Okay. All right. That was my rant. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the centralized exchange talk
Okay.
that we were having earlier. Isn't it ironic that Bitcoin was created for the purpose of defeating the traditional currency system that we have, right? Fiat.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic how fiat gives value to Bitcoin and all of crypto? And if these centralized exchanges don't exist, how is the value of crypto going to increase?
Right.
Like, why are we not focusing on the actual fiat that's coming in to these exchanges? And, like, I guess, why aren't they regulating that? So they show proof where the fiat is being held, and that way, that's how we know where the value of all crypto is. They shouldn't focus on us transferring crypto because everything is on the blockchain, right? We can, if it's on chain, we can track that and we can see all the transactions, but we can't track fiat. So why would these centralized exchanges be dipping on crypto instead of the fiat? Therefore, like that, this is why, like, I've been in this space for a while, and this is the number one problem that I see. Majority of these crypto geniuses or gurus, they don't even understand the value of crypto entirely. And, like, when you bring this topic up, they say, "Oh no, it's us people that give it value." I'm sorry, but no, people do not give crypto value because this is the new technology, and it has to be tied to something, and that's something is.
Yeah, but I think right now we're talking about it is a problem that we haven't, but that we don't have the opportunity to solve right now. And the Bitcoin maximalists, you know, one of the problems I have, I generally, you know, what's so crazy is like, what's that?
Yeah, Grant.
Oh, does Grant want to? Let me answer this question real quick, and then we'll let Grant talk. What I would say is this.
No, man, I'm good. I'm just listening to you guys, man.
Cool, bro.
The intelligence in the room.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming in the chat. So the fact is that when it comes to currency, the Bitcoin maximalists, they have a very specific idea of what our monetary system needs to look like. And ironically is, you know, people think I hate the Bitcoin maximalists because I hate their toxicity. They're right about so much stuff. The problem is the evolution of Bitcoin has veered more towards digital gold and appreciation and value, other than actual spending it as a currency. Me personally, people know my story. If you've watched my channel, I got into Bitcoin in 2012 because I was using it as a currency, not Silk Road. I always got to point it out because it was around that same time frame. but it was for a software that I was using. And I bought $450 worth of Bitcoin that we actually did the math today on that would have been worth, I think, $3 million at the peak. And I spent $450 on it, but I wasn't buying it as an investment. I was buying it as a currency. Well, we veered off from that because the value went up so high. So like, it's kind of crazy in my opinion to go to El Salvador and say, hey, let's give these people, let's make them use Bitcoin. Well, why do we want people in El Salvador in a third world country spending an appreciating asset? And this is really where all the tension has been created. Right now, we don't actually have anything other than fiat to compare the value of crypto to. And I would say, I actually do believe that when it comes to like it needing to be backed by something, if it were being used as a currency, I would agree with you, but it's not. Gold is not used as a currency. You can in some places use it as a currency. In the history of the world, it was used as a currency, but I see a place in the future where Bitcoin is the backing to a currency the same way that gold has been the backing for currency before. But that system doesn't change overnight. And right now, we like to make the joke, like 1 Bitcoin still equal to 1 Bitcoin, or 7 Doge is still equal to 7 Doge, or whatever. But the idea is we just don't have anything other than fiat to tie it to. Crypto, the prices of Bitcoin, it's very evident now, is tied to the amount of money, not the value of money. If we go and we print money out the wazoo, Bitcoin goes up. And guess what? We have a fiat system where we have to keep doing that. Until that system breaks, we just don't have anything else to tie it to. And I think that's a very important point here as we're looking at these centralized exchanges. Guys, you got to wake up. I know the Bitcoin maximalists hate it. It's going to be 20 years at least before we probably are able to move to a totally new financial system to where Bitcoin is implemented the way they want it to be implemented. What we're dealing with now is the urgency of where we are at in this critical time period for now. We have to deal with what's real. What's real now? We have alternative currencies. We have altcoins. We have bad actors in the space. We have centralized exchanges. We have decentralized exchanges. We have nation states looking to get into crypto. And what we have to do is kind of look at all of these things from the angle of how do we want this space to look in the future, and maybe work backwards from there, realizing it doesn't happen overnight. And that's the thing that frustrates Bitcoin maximalists, because they look and they see how it could be such a better system, but it's going to be years and years before that's implemented. So I hope that answers your question. That's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a few more minutes here. Somebody else wants to jump on. Jacob, yeah, go ahead, man.
Let's go on, Ben.
What's that?
Actually jump to that. I think the Bitcoin maximalists you're kind of referencing are the ones from this cycle, which are the ETH maxis that got burnt post 2017. There's a big difference between them and the people that got in 2012 or
Agree.
In 2013.
Yeah.
What do you say about it?
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment in general. Yeah. No.
So like the thought of like things take time, I think it's kind of obvious, and it's kind of funny if like just to look at everyone's time preference and how demanding they are right now. I mean, if you look at gold, look at the U.S. dollar, the time in between other currencies came up, state currencies, local currencies came up, and they all were very shilly. They all left very quickly. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people need to have longer time preference.
Yeah, well, I think when you're talking about Bitcoin maximalism, we have a phone call question here in 1 second. We'll get to. But when it comes to Bitcoin maximalism, I agree. I think, look, you have a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists that got in 2012, 2013 and made a ton of money. And they just there's no reason for them to support anything else. And they've, they prescribe to the.
Hold on. I'll challenge you there.
Okay.
So I got in 2013.
No, not all. Not all. Go ahead.
No. So we are far and few between in terms of ones that support other things. I think the Bitcoin rationalist is the proper term that should probably be used.
I like that.
For what we are.
The Bitcoin rationalist.
Because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It holds its special place on the mantle. And then everything else is tech.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't complain about Apple because Samsung exists. It makes no sense.
I tend to agree with you for the most part on that. I like the term Bitcoin rationalist. But what I was kind of getting to there, though, was I was going to say, your ideological, your philosophical, Bitcoin maximalists that got in because they had libertarian values. I think that really a lot of those people would agree, hey, we don't have to force our opinion on people. And that's how you can really tell the difference between someone that's toxic in that community and that's not, is a lot of those maximals have become what they set out to stop, which are people like forcing viewpoints on people. If you have that much faith in Bitcoin, and I can tell you, like with each passing cycle, I lose more faith in certain altcoins, and I get more faith in Bitcoin. So like anybody else, like, can't we allow people to go on that journey without forcing them to come up with whatever opinion you think is right on any given moment? Everybody matures and grows and learns. So let's go with this question over here.
All right, we're gonna go to the phone lines. Put over there so your audience can hear it. Yeah, good afternoon. You're live. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. How you doing?
Hey, awesome. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a question, might be a little bit off the topic, but I just want to know, does anyone notice that the government tried to switch, tell you look over here and don't look at them this week when they started an investigation of the ex-MP, Alicia Rule, with Alicia use money? Because this stuff was like almost 2 years ago. All of a sudden now they get investigate when they lost seat. I mean, did anyone notice that? That they all of a sudden, look how we are. We investigating the FNM, but don't look at us. Don't look at the evil we doing, but look over here.
All right. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. So I just repeat it so the audience can understand exactly what he's saying. Basically, he's saying that the government has changed the topic. So what they did was they started an investigation onto one of our former members of parliament, because it's going to make the Bahamian people stop talking about this FTX thing, because it's now so politically charged. And so the government in every way is trying to cover this up and hide this and change the subject. So for my people who are watching, this is something that I was going to reveal today until all of this came up. But I have documents, actually reports that were hidden from you about the Lanisha Roll investigation. And so this is the internal report from February 2021 that came out on Lanisha Roll's ministry. And so we're going to look at this on Tuesday. Okay, so we're talking about crypto today. And as you can see here, I have the actual internal audit report that was hidden from all of you, and they didn't tell you about this. Lanisha Roll said she didn't know about another report, but here it is for everyone to see. And we're going to go through this on Tuesday. And this report is damning to the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture. But the government is using this to get you to stop talking about FTX and the embarrassment of their corruption. Don't let them distract you. The caller is right.
Well, there you go. Well, I think, guys, I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. I think we've covered this thing. For those that are just catching up, basically to summarize what we've done here on this, we've taken questions. We've answered a lot of questions. We talked about the Bahamian government here. There is some corruption definitely going on that is protecting Sam from getting arrested. But here, guys, it's not like he's got some military team here that's stopping anybody from coming and getting him. The U.S. government, if they can step up, when they step up, they can come get him very easily, and he can be out of this country in just a couple hours. We've heard Dubai will not protect him, so he has that going on. Dubai is probably not an option for him. He needs to be squeezed out of this place and smoked out. That's what needs to happen. We also received information that not just here in the Bahamas, but also in Dubai, that Alameda and FTX have created real estate companies to funnel and launder your customer funds to keep them out of bankruptcy. At least $140 million here alone in the Bahamas is rolled up in other companies that they have hidden from you. FTX Property Holdings, I believe his name, and Alameda Property Holdings as well, which we don't even have all those properties yet for Alameda. Around the world, this could be $1 billion floating around in real estate that is your funds if you lost money on FTX. And I think when you start figuring out that insolvency hole, they must have moved almost all the funds they had left over to real estate. Guys, Alameda Property Holdings was started on October 22nd.
October 19th.
Oh, October 19th. October 19th of 2022 this year, because they were anticipating having to hide their money. So, guys, thank you so much to obviously Lincoln for having me in here today. We've had a really good time. I like this guy. I usually don't like people, but I like Lincoln. He's a good guy. He's better than Sam. I'll tell you, I like him better than Sam. So that's all we got for tonight. You guys know we're going to be doing a lot more Twitter Spaces on the channel. We think it's very advantageous. Thank you to everybody that stepped on tonight. and chatted. Obviously, we can't get to everybody, but we appreciate you guys, and that's all we got. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
You're a legend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone in the Bahamas who is watching this, thank you all for tuning in. For people who are asking who tuned in late, who is this guy? Because many of you don't know who he is. Of course, this is Ben. And Ben started BitBoy Network. And BitBoy Crypto is the largest crypto community on the internet. And there's millions and millions of followers, and that is what he does. He came from nothing. He made money from crypto, investing in crypto, and they said he's worth $24 million now. So, and most of that is invested in crypto. All right, and so he's heavily invested into this. He believes in crypto. I believe in crypto. I believe that crypto will continue, and nothing can stop crypto. All right, Ben. You said you're going to come back here and have a protest.
Let's do it.
I'm going to help you as much as I can. We have to weed out the corruption, and we have to expose it. We've shown you documents where government officials are involved. They have, not government officials, sorry, persons politically connected to the government are involved, where we can see that these, the lawyers that dealt with all of these transactions, all of the transaction, are actually the lawyers from Allison Maynard's law firm, who is a former attorney general, a PLP member, a member of this government, and they dealt with the sale of all of these properties. And they made legal fees and other fees from all of this. They benefited.
Yep.
Corruption. Help us clean up our country, and we'll help you clean up crypto.
I'm all about it. And guys, I don't live here in the Bahamas. I don't ever plan on living here in the Bahamas, but I've really enjoyed my stay here. And
Have my deepest sympathy.
Yeah, look, I like the Bahamas. I don't know what soccer. Y'all play soccer. You got to call it football. I'm sorry. But the fact is, we're here fighting for people. We're not just fighting for people in America. We're fighting for people in the Bahamas. We're fighting for anybody that's got injustice due to crypto. We want to clean up this space, and we want to move forward because I believe that crypto is really the only way that we save the world. To be honest with you, when it comes to corruption, blockchain allows transparency and allows you to expose this stuff that these elite people have been covering up for years. These government officials have been covering up for years. Just like you said, the Catholic Church scandal. No problem with the Catholic Church today, but there obviously was a huge scandal that went on there. And, the same way that stuff got cleaned up, we want to clean up crypto and we all move forward. So people in Bahamas, I'm here for you guys as well. You ever see me down here, make sure to say hey.
All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we have some more documents to release. We have some more documents about this FTX thing. They're coming into our desk every single day. And on Tuesday, we're going to talk about the scandal with Nalisha Rose. So make sure you are here. Thank all of you for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. I just want to say this before we go, ladies and gentlemen. Just a side note, I got to attend the funeral of Liz. Of course, she's my constituent in Pinewood Gardens as Liz Gordon. I got to attend her funeral. She died suddenly. And we give her family the deepest sympathies. We were there with her in this her darkest hour. And we just want to tell her family to be strong, to continue to be strong, and that we will continue to be with you through all of this. I also had some bad news that the lady who died, and I heard it, but I didn't know, who died in a car crash on Prince Charles Drive and ran into a van, who's a strong supporter of ours, and this is John Adderley. John Adderley has been a pillar of strength for all of us. And I just want to say thank you for everything, John. Thank you for all of your encouragement, for your hard work. John Adderley was a F&M all her life. She supported the Free National Movement. And the picture you're seeing is the day that she met me, that I went into Marathon and met with her. And she left the F&M on that day and never looked back. And she supported us. She walked, even if she had to walk by herself or with her sister. And her sister was in a car crash. She died in that car crash. I just want to say to John, you are gone, but you will never be forgotten. We love you. We will see the new Bahamas. And you would have been one of those who helped build the foundation to get us to a new Bahamas, where Bahamians are first, where corruption is gone, and where Bahamians benefit from their natural resources. Thank you for your sacrifice. We will not let it go in vain. God bless you. All right. And so for everyone else, I think we have any other announcements? Grand Bahama. We're coming to Grand Bahama this weekend. So be ready for us. On Tuesday, I'm going to make the final announcement. We're coming to Grand Bahama this weekend. Be a part. We're going to form our associations properly, our branches. Please be a part. We cannot fight this fight. The evolution starts with you. I cannot win this war against these corrupt governments. All of us have to win this war. Make sure that you are there. We're going to put out our announcements by Tuesday, so you know where you need to be a part of this. Grand Bahama, we have to take our country back. We have to take our country back. We have to end the corruption. We have to end the neglect. You got politicians flying around the world, eating caviar on your money, balling on your money, taking bribes from people like SBF, and you get nothing. While you are starving and hungry and people are sleeping on beaches. We got to fix this country. We're going to fix this country. Grand Bahama, see you on this weekend. We're having a town meeting, right? Yes, we're going to have a town hall meeting on Sunday. We're going to talk about Grand Bahama, the immigration issue, the serious immigration issue that we're having. We're going to talk about all of this. Make sure you are there. Thank you for your support. Make sure you are there. Be a part of all of this. And so we're going to war with this government. We're going to end this corruption. We got some friends from all over the world who are contacting us. And thank you for being here.
Let's get it.
Time to go to war. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We love you. God bless you. And remember, change